Okay, so most of us have been taught how to improve, how to heal, how to become better, but almost no one's been taught how to stop attacking ourselves while doing it. You know, so much of what we do is based on a microaggression. No one talks about how to do this process ourselves. So I want to talk to you today. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Walking the Path. I want to talk to you today about unbecoming the inner self acceptance. Radical self acceptance is really the ground for healing. But before I do that, I want to remind you that we are here. I am here under the auspices of about these things because this is the kind of stuff we talk about at Rythmia every week. Rythmia Center that is the gold standard. I've had the great privilege of being there for the last 8 years and have seen miracle upon miracle upon miracle. And so I want to invite you to take a look at Rythmia. And I'm just seeing thank you so much, RVA Brock. While in meditation the other day, I heard you say, and you continue to punish yourself. Thank you. Yes, we continue to do this because we think it's a measurement of that it's motivation, that it's discipline. I really want to set the container. 3 weeks. This is the first talk in this series for the month of February. And over the next weeks, I want to be path with you. Really not about becoming better and not about not about unbecoming what really never belonged. And this arc really comes directly out of something I've been working on, and I can't wait to share with you all very soon, is a book called Unbecoming. In the book, there's this arc that I want to this week is radical self-acceptance. This self-love and self-love. Love is a state of being. And compassion is the action of love. So next week, we'll talk about self-love and self-compassion. And then finally, this leads us to radical self-responsibility. This is the passy that we arrive at, the creators of our life experience, when we actually accept ourselves. When we think that accepting ourselves means that we're resigned to letting it be the way it is. But actually, self-acceptance is a step in unbecoming, in unraveling these tightly wound patterns. They have to happen in this order. We have to accept ourselves first. Then we can love ourselves. And then we can actually step into choice, into responsibility. I want to lay the ground. And self-acceptance is where everything else begins. And the real obstacle to self-acceptance, is this idea of the normative should. Most people think they struggle with self-acceptance because they're broken, there's something wrong. The real obstacle is that we are constantly measuring ourselves, invisible standards of who we think we should be. And this, if I talk to somebody about comparison's the thief of joy, oh yeah, of course, comparison's the thief of joy. I don't compare myself to people. No. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Not in these long arcs of, oh, they're so much better than me. It's in these moments, these little microaggressions, just these little should be more spiritual. I should be more successful, active. I should be less messy. I should be more healed. Just these moments. This is where the microaggressions begin. And this voice is so normal that we often mistake it for wisdom or for motivation or for helping us, right? But it's actually comparison. And self-existence cannot exist in a system that's constantly grading itself, constantly grading, constantly degrading itself. So, measurement turns like ourselves. We're constantly looking to, kind of like a report. And the moment life becomes a report card, it becomes impossible. Another metric, another standard, another version of me or of you acceptable. It's like there's a constant theme in self-improvement. It's like you're just not quite, even if a spiritual perspective might say, oh, just as you are, but tomorrow you'll be even more perfect, whole, and complete, right? This is the subtle underpinning that has us believe there's something wrong that we need. Oh, thank you, Vicky. Vicky said, I've been struggling with this for so long. Stay tuned, Vicky. There's more. I'm so grateful. So, another version that's more acceptable means there's another version that actually belongs. So we're delaying, and most of us feel that there's a huge piece of I don't belong, I don't fit in. I can accept myself when I'm calmer. I can accept myself when I'm more healed. I can accept myself when I've figured this out. But acceptance doesn't come later. In fact, that's not approval. We're actually looking for some sort of measurement. And this really becomes a war, like an internal civil war, an inner war. And this is really one of the core themes of unbecoming. It's civil war is part of us that we're trying to fix, right? Or trying to improve, trying to transcend or eliminate. We want to eliminate other parts. Thank you, Deirdre. So grateful. I remember you. We're trying to exile these parts of us, but we think this is actual growth, but that is actually self-opposition. And it's exhausting, right? We're tired because life is hard, and it can be, but we're tired because we're fighting ourselves constantly degrading ourselves, these little microaggressions. So let me clear the confusion about what self-acceptance is. Self-acceptance is not resignation. Self-acceptance is not approval of harm or giving up on growth. Self-acceptance is not status quo or the way things are. Self-acceptance is ending the argument exists. It's a willingness to let ours be in the moment, to be okay. Thoughts, including our feelings, including our history, including our humanity. I'm accepting myself, all of me. In fact, Carl Jung talks about the necessity to accept the worst parts of ourselves, because those parts of ourselves, those are the aspects that have been exiled. And those are the parts that need to be accepted, not rejected, and not to change them. We don't accept like, okay, great, I'm going to accept the worst part of me so that it goes away and I never experience that again. Because those have really important information. Jealousy and envy was a bit of a strategy that I developed early on in order to belong. And when I went through this process of unbecoming, I saw, let's see, I have a poor connection here. What's going on? Process of unbecoming. I saw that that the jealousy and envy actually had benefits, right? There was some good information because jealousy and envy was actually saying there's a part of you, there's something realized, there's something in you that wants to be brought forth. And so there was some actually good information there. So I don't want to bring jealousy and envy in, these parts of me, the worst parts of me. I don't want to bring them in to shut them up. I want to bring them in so that I want to bring them in so that I can give them a seat at the table, right? I want to bring them in, not so that they're silenced for no longer running the show, right? When I'm my soul, I get to choose because everything has good information. I use the example of a barking dog. Dog to bark at everything, right? But I don't want them to stop barking. There's somebody coming that I don't want to come, right? But if it's just my neighbor taking out the trash, I don't want them to bark. So our worst parts, they're like the barking dog. We don't want them to shut up forever because there's some good information there. But if I can then be my soul, my authority, my inner authority, I can say, oh, hey, that's just the neighbor bringing in the trash. Oh, that's just an old pattern coming up. I need to activate jealousy. I can go. But there's also a moment when it comes up, I go, oh, that's something in me that wants to be realized. That's something in me that wants to be expressed. So that's where we get to be responsible. We're going to talk about that in week 3. But, most of us learned, back to this acceptance, we learned early on that love was conditional. We got to be good. We got to be impressive. We got to be strong. We got to be spiritual. We got to be less humble. And if we are, then we're and when we failed to meet those conditions, we didn't just feel pain. We concluded that something was wrong. We concluded there was something wrong with me and in me. And I don't even think I would have realized that I thought that there was something broken. The voice was so internalized that I just thought improvement. It's self-acceptance is saying I'm allowed to be as I am. Even while I'm healing, even while I'm learning, even while it's messy, belonging comes first, growth follows. And acceptance must come first because you can't love what you're still trying to eliminate. Get to self-love if I'm trying to kill off these other parts. That's still the war. I can't reunite at war with. So I can't parts that I refuse to see. I can't take responsibility of shame. Acceptance actually creates safety. I was talking to some friends this week about acceptance begins to create safety, and compassion responsibility possible. Being self-accepting and self-loving actually makes it possible for us to actually be responsible from a place of choice. So what does self-acceptance look like in real life, right? Self-acceptance looks like saying to yourself, it looks like saying to yourself, especially when you want to fix something, or when you feel distracted, or you feel like you need to perform, or you feel like there's a bypass, it feels like just accepting with yourself, staying with yourself in those moments. It sounds like this too belongs. It sounds like I don't have to like this, but I can let it be here. It sounds like I can be present without judgment and without punishment. It's not passive. It's actually honesty without violence. Like, this is of me. This part, the part that's jealous, envious, the part that doesn't want them to succeed, the part that hates myself, right? To be present, to say, this too belongs. This is part of me. And not to exile it. This is radical honesty without violence. And, the next we're going to explore self-love and self-compassion. So it's at 1:00 Central Time. Because, what it really means, and it really mean to be loving to yourself, to be passionate to yourself. This isn't bypass. It's learning to, Charlene says we need to talk to ourselves gently. Absolutely. It means that we need to be responsible, but without shame, without blame, without, but really with our responsibility, power to choose from wholeness instead of from our wounds. But none of that works, ending the Civil War, without first accepting ourselves. So healing does not begin with fixing. It begins with ceasing the attack, ceasing the self-condemnation. Self-acceptance is the end of the path. It's the ground that the path begins on, And the war within us, this too belongs. This is wrong with me that I feel this way. My feelings are valid just as they are. They don't get to run the show, but I get to acknowledge them. I get to acknowledge that, yeah, there's a part of me that's jealous. It's okay. Everything belongs. And it doesn't mean our life is perfect. It means that we're just honest. We're just honest with ourselves. And honesty is where freedom begins. So I'm looking so forward to seeing you guys next week. 1 o'clock Central Time, we're going to talk about self-love and self-compassion. And I'm so grateful and so thankful for this moment. Just sending you all richest blessings, and I'll see you soon.